Last more than 3 years, only 13% will recover. And there are more sickness claims than accidents. The other thing that we were told is 1 in 8 professionals are going to be hospitalized during their lifetime because of these problems. These are the most serious problems that can happen in disability insurance for a disability company.
That's because of their clients, though.
Huh?
It's all because of their clients, the professionals.
Sorry?
It's not the professionals.
Could well be. Furthermore, 1 in 4 persons is in need of immediate psychiatric attention. Now think about 3 of your friends, because they seem normal. Anyway. Now Andrew Carnegie was a famous industrialist, and he recognized the fact that if you took away all his plants and factories, you took away all his railroads and transportation, just left him with his executives, and in 3 or 4 years he'd have them all back again. He really knew that what makes a company strong or profitable is manpower, not machinery, and it's people, not product. He knew that you can always replace a machine, but you can't replace the individual talents of your executives. Wow. Don't fail. Okay, so let's take a look at what the executive does for the company. Clearly, the executive brings all of these abilities to the position. That's what they're expected. Because we're going to contrast how we treat the executive as to how we treat the average person in the office, administrative. The administrative person is not expected to bring those abilities to the position. Now, most companies, especially ours, we have an agreement to make sure our computers work 24 hours a day. And that costs us about maybe 1 or 2% of the value of the equipment to make sure that equipment's running. So shouldn't we at least make sure that our executives are covered properly? Give them a contract that really protects them? Let's take a look at what we do. Let's take a look at how we manage our greatest assets. Because what we do for them tells them how we feel about them. Here's a typical life insurance, group insurance plan for ABC manufacturing. That might be the sort of program you put in. Here's the type of dependent life and health care and short-term weekly indemnity. And then they put in long-term disability benefits. And that's typically 66 2/3 for a maximum. It may be 3,000, it may be 5,000. They all have caps. But the definition is unable to do the duties of your occupation during the first 24 months. After that, inability to do anything. That's the vegetable clause. So now let's take a look at what might be happening. Let's take a look at how the president and the administrative person, I don't want to make a mistake on this, is on his way now to a meeting. Okay, there they are, going down the road, minding their own business. Just a beautiful day.
Oh boy!
It would have to sound weird sounding one time.
Was the truck okay?
So, these things happen. We read about them all the time.
You were driving.
So 2 things are likely to happen. First of all, there you are. You both go to hospital. And the door comes out, and there's the executive. And the administration person's laying in there somewhere. So the first thing is, you go to hospital, 2 things are going to happen. One thing is you're both die. So there you are. You're an executive, you're $500,000, wonderful person. And here's your wife and children, and she's got a new boyfriend already because with $500,000 she's looking pretty good, right? And the people came out from head office, see you go, bye! And there's the poor administrative person with $25,000, and the wife has come out with the baby. So that, if you die, you're a hero. Wonderful idea. But what if you don't die? What if you both end up in the same hospital room, you've got the same disabilities, and you're in the same accident? Which one is you, the executive? Huh?
It's the one on the right with the window view.
Right. That's right.
But the administrative person's got the visitor. Well, why? And she's smiling. What the hell is she smiling about? Well, you see, as the executive assistant, he's receiving $2,000 per month, which is 2/3 of his income. She's fine. But what about you? Well, your wife doesn't look too happy because she's got no money to pay for all these gas, hydro taxes. She can't even afford to get there and visit them. Why is that? Because you've got a cap on your insurance plan, which is $3,000 a month. In fact, you're a victim of reverse discrimination because you're only getting 30% of your income when you're disabled. So you're a hero if you die, and you're a pauper if you don't. Now that's reverse discrimination. And it doesn't add up. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So what do executives want? Well, clearly, they want their bills paid. That's what they really want. And the company wants the executive back to work. Remember, so what you need is you need executive clauses in your program. Group plans need to have executive clauses. What's an executive clause? Well, the group plan says you're completely unable to perform each and every duty of regular occupation for the first 2 years. Thereafter, you've got to be able to do nothing. But an executive clause means that you're unable to perform the important duties of your occupation forever, no matter what you do. That's an executive clause. You shouldn't be forced into an occupation that you're not prepared for. Can you imagine if you were, you'd be sitting side by side with your administrative person weaving baskets? It would make sense. You were the executive. Accumulating days. You need to be able, as an executive, to accumulate days. Why is that important for an executive? Because an executive will come back to work before he's supposed to. The doctor says stay off for 3 months, he's back in a month, 2 months. Why? Because that's an executive. The thing is, once you do that, which the company wants you to do, which the insurance company wants you to do, if you don't have accumulating days, and you're then disabled again from the same cause, you then have to start a new elimination period. A group plan will only allow 14 days between periods of return to work for you to go back on claim and not have to satisfy the 120 days. An individual plan will allow you to gather the disability benefit, the periods of disability together to satisfy the elimination period. For example, you could have 2 days off, back to work, 9 days off, and these days off that you're having could be for tests, could be for anything. But you can collect all of those days to satisfy the elimination period. With a group plan, you may only have a 14-day window. And you can do this over a period of a year. Also, in an individual plan, you have residual benefits, and very basically, that's what it means. If you are able to go back to work, the company pays you for the 2 hours you work rather, and the insurance company pays you for the 6 hours you don't work. So with a combination of income and benefits, you'll always be looked after. Clearly, individual plans don't pay for war, riots, pregnancy, or any combination of those three. If a war breaks out from a pregnancy, it's not covered. Okay? If a pregnancy breaks out from a riot, you're on your own. But group plans also don't cover that, and they also don't cover mental nervous disorders and substance abuse, including alcohol, unless they're specifically included in the contract, and then there's always some kind of a mitigating circumstance. Is that right, Rudy?
I didn't know that.
That's still right? Yeah. So what are the solutions? Because if we've got problems, we've got to have solutions. Well, you could increase the group plan maximum. That still may not cover the top earners. It's still, you don't know whether the group insurance company will allow it. There's still the 2-year regular occupation clause. And you've still got that rehab clause. And the rehab clause is the one that forces you back to work at something. And you've still got restrictions. And you've got no guarantee of future insurability. So if you're that $120,000 a year executive, and you can only get a job at $50,000 a year, you have to take that job. Now I'm talking generally speaking. Maybe some group contracts are a bit richer than this, but generally speaking, most contracts will prevent you, will invoke the rehab clause. If you're going to earn $50,000, that's what you're going to have. And guess what happens now? You get a job at $50,000. It may even be back at the same company. Then you have a heart attack. Now what happens? Now you're looking at a percentage of only $50,000. So with a rehab clause and a group plan, you've only got one shot at a claim. And you've got benefit offsets in group. Anything with initials. WC, UIC, NFA. All sorts of maximums. You've got all kinds of things. You could add on an individual plan because it has all those availabilities. But the best solution for each particular company depends on these factors. The average age could be an older company, but the average age generally floats between 40 and 45. Unless you've got just a new startup company. It's always good to start with the senior executives first. If you've got a small company, you've got a small group of executives, let's find out what their problems are and let's solve them. Let's get the fact, because we need to be able to include salary, bonuses, dividends, profits, spousal income, and find out what their problems are. Most group plans will not allow you to include all of these individual components. So when should we do it?